नमस्कार एपी टक टाइममा स्वागत छ म समा थापा। नेपाल भारत सम्बन्ध बहुआयामिक छ। खुला सीमा र समान कला संस्कृतिबाट जनस्तरसम्म जोडिएको नेपाल भारत सम्बन्धमा विभिन्न समयमा अनेकन उतार चढाव पनि देखिने गर्दछ। हालै भारतले आफ्नो नयाँ संसद भवनमा नेपालको लुम्बिनी लगायतका केही भूभाग समेटिएको चित्र टाँसेपछि यसले नेपालमा तरङ्ग ल्यायो। फलस्वरूप काठमाडौँका मेयरले पनि ग्रेटर नेपालको नक्सा आफ्नो कार्यकक्षमा राखे। नक्सालाई लिएर अनेकन राजनीति भइरहेको छ। यो सेलाउन नपाउँदै भारतीय चलचित्र आदिपुरुषमा सीता भारतकी छोरी हो भनेर राखिएको संवाद अनि त्यस लगत्तै सो चलचित्रका संवाद लेखकले नेपाल भारतकै भूभाग थियो कुनै समय भनेर दिएको अन्तर्वार्ताले नेपालमा थप आक्रोश पैदा भएको छ। फलस्वरूप भारतीय सिनेमा नै काठमाडौँमा प्रतिबन्ध लगाइएको छ। नेपाल भारत सम्बन्धमा आउने यी र यस्ता उतार चढावलाई छिमेकी मुलुक भारतले कसरी हेरिरहेको छ? भारतीय प्रधानमन्त्री नरेन्द्र मोदीले बारम्बार भन्दै आइरहेको नेबरहुड फर्स्ट पोलिसी कसरी बलियो हुन सक्छ? विश्वकै शक्ति राष्ट्र बन्ने होडमा रहेको भारत नेपालको परस्पर हित, शान्ति र समृद्धिको संवाहक कसरी बन्न सक्छ? हाम्रो सार्वभौमतालाई अक्षुण्ण राखेर आज यही विषयमा कुराकानी गर्नेछौँ र कुराकानीका लागि हामीसँग हुनुहुन्छ डाक्टर विजय जोली, जो भाजपा विदेश सेलका पूर्व संयोजक हुनुहुन्छ र भाजपाका वरिष्ठ नेता हुनुहुन्छ। डाक्टर जोली, वेलकम टु एपी टक टाइम।
Thank you for inviting me to your talk show today. I bring in the good wishes, the love, the affection of the Republic of India for the people of Nepal, for the polity of Nepal, and for the betterment and development of Nepal.
The pleasure is all ours. Tell us more about your Nepal visit.
Whenever I come to Nepal, with my wide contacts in the political circles, in the diplomatic circles, in the social circles, I always intermingle to know about the current scenario of Nepal, because Nepal is not only close to our mind but also to our heart. We love Nepal, we love Nepalis, and we want to be a part of your development story.
Absolutely. By and large, the spiritual and cultural connectivity has played a very, very important role in, garnishing Nepal-India relation. So, to begin with, from India's traditional stand of roti beti rista to hijacking Nepal's Beti Janaki or Sita in the latest movie Aadipurush, where does India, the government of India, stand in this issue?
Well, you see, the government of India has got nothing to do with the private produced and directed movie which is called Aadipurush. I totally agree with you that there should not have been any controversy on this subject. But this is also a fact that Sita Maiya was the daughter of Nepal, and she was the Bahu, the daughter-in-law of India. And this is the reason why from Ayodhya to your part of the world, Lord Ram many centuries ago had come with the Bharat, with the procession of the marriage, and he married the daughter of Nepal, and that's the reason why subsequently Sita Maiya became the queen of Ayodhya. Well, the depiction by the filmmaker in his own way, I do not agree with him.
But Dr. Jolie, I wonder, all of us know each Indian film is certified by Government of India, India's Central Board of Institute. So how do you see this? I mean, how does the film got pass?
Well, you see, the pictures which are made in India, they do not resemble to the true facts, and they certainly write a caption on the movie that it has got no semblance to any existing characters which are depicted in the picture. But certainly I do agree, if the people of Nepal have objected to Sita Maiya being called the daughter and the daughter-in-law of India, whereas you certainly have a right, and this is a matter of record, that Sita Maiya was a daughter of the Karam Bhumi, the Janam Bhumi, which is now termed as Nepal, we have got no comments to make except to say, आप ठीक हैं, अगर हम गलत हैं तो हमें अपनी गलती माननी चाहिए. और इसीलिए, and this is the reason why the people who have produced and directed the movie, they have affected some cuts, seeing the sensibilities of the people of Nepal, because if you people feel hurt, we also feel hurt. If you people are happy, we also feel happy. Our interests are intertwined. But my only small assertion is, Nepal is oversensitive to many of the issues which in India we tend to ignore, because the menace of the time is peace, progress, understanding, friendship, and going forward, not looking back.
I understand your sentiment, Dr. Jolie, but the controversy doesn't end here. Some couple of days ago, the co-writer of that very movie, he said that once Nepal was part of India, so the dialogue is up to mark. That doesn't need to be altered. What's your opinion regarding that statement of the
Well, you see, Nepal is a sovereign nation. And we recognize the right of the Nepal and the Nepali citizens on that score. If one individual says something, we should not take it on its totality on the face value. We consider Nepal to be a sovereign nation, deciding its own political, diplomatic agenda of the day. It goes on the path of peace and progression in its own way. If some person from India talks on that score, I think they would be talking in their own perspective. But if projecting the greater part of India, which is a part of the history, and putting that on a mural, and some people raising objections on the visit, during the visit of the current Nepali Prime Minister to India, I think they are only stoking political controversies and trying to find fault with the Indian polity, which is just not saying something which is untrue. But today, Nepal is a sovereign state, so is India a sovereign state. But if some people raise demands for Akhand Bharat, if I dream that tomorrow China would be a part of India, from China to UK, I think I will be misconstrued in my own
Dr. Jolie,
association.
here I would like to add, Nepal-India relationship is multi-layered. The relationship is built over years from people to people, connection, sentiment, and so many cultural values as well. Less than a fortnight ago, the unraveling of Akhand Bharat map in the newly inaugurated Parliament of India that claimed Lumbini as a part of Akhand Bharat. This raised a concern, and to respond to this, our mayor also put the map of Greater Nepal in his workstation. How do you see this? I mean, it's a Parliament of India, the flag bearer of greatest democracy of the world. How do you see this? It's not XYZ with the morale, it's the Parliament there. How do you like to respond to this?
You see, number one, if the morale which has been put up in the Indian Parliament, they are only depicting the greater strength of India, which comprise many neighboring states which are today sovereign. But many centuries ago, they were a part of the Akhand Bharat concept, where from Kandahar, from Afghanistan to Cambodia, this was all one called Hindustan. Because 150 years ago, when people from India went to Suriname, and which I visited a part of the celebrations last week, they said, we had come from the Akhand Hindustan. But that does not mean that we are claiming those parts in the present context. So raising objections on such small tribal issues is fishing in troubled waters.
Not just Nepal, Myanmar, Bangladesh has also raised
Well,
their concern.
they were, you have to agree, and if you go into the history and the context of the historical contents, they were a part of the bigger Hindustan. Though they are today all sovereign states. We are not claiming a right over to those states, but if a mural depicting the past heritage of India is depicted somewhere, it should not be construed in a fashion whereby you could say that this is the concept which we Indians, we Bharat Mata ke Sapoot are aiming for in the present and in the future.
And also in response to this, people are talking about the map of Greater Nepal that includes Garhwal, Kumaon, Sikkim and some parts of Sikkim, you know, the areas before the pre-Sugauli Treaty. What are your views on this? Do we need to proceed this kind of thing ahead?
You see, my contention is very clear.
What about the map of Greater Nepal?
Well,
do you agree
it is up,
in this concept?
It is up to those people who have put up the Greater Nepal map in their own individual capacity. Has it been put by the government of Nepal? Has it been put by a larger consensus of the people of Nepal who always see that Bharat or Nepal, when we say roti beti ka sambandh hai, so it means it is a historical aspect that we all have prospered hand in hand, glove in glove, where Sita Mata became the daughter-in-law of India as well as Ayodhya. Ayodhya ji, she was the queen of Ayodhya, and today if we state to the contrary, we would be putting aside the historical facts. So I am saying...
But the government, the mayor of Kathmandu, it's the senior government official of Nepal. How do you like to respond to this?
Well, you see, in his own right, he would be right, whereby he sees, he dreams a greater Nepal, but if at all, if he can produce any documentary evidence of the past, in the present and for the future, supported by the people of Nepal, then I would wish to comment on that. But otherwise, I always would like to say that the more prevalent and the relevant issues today in front of Nepal, in front of India, is education, employment, young boys and girls going out from Nepal to other pastures in search of employment. This is the basic issues. Roti ka sawal, which your government, your Nepal mayor, my government in India have a bigger quest, and this is the reason why my Prime Minister Narendra Modi always promotes, propagates
absolutely, but Dr.
development of
the
India.
Sovereignty of a small state cannot be undermined at any cost, I believe. The idea of Akhanda Bharat serves more of India's own domestic population rather than its neighbors. We in Nepal have our own history with not much in common, so many things are common. What is the need to stir such a mythological issue in modern times, and that too in India's seat of democracy, in its parliament? Can't this be interpreted as a hegemonistic hidden agenda of India?
There is no hidden agenda. Let me be very clear. The government of India, the Bharatiya Janata Party, the Prime Minister of India have only one agenda, which is not hidden agenda. It is the agenda of development. It is the agenda of providing employment. It is the agenda of providing food to the hungry stomachs. It is the agenda of Vasudev Kutumbakam. This world is one great family. There is no hidden agenda to encroach upon the territorial integrity of our immediate neighbors, and we consider Nepal not a part and parcel of India, but a sovereign state which is our equal brother in our quest for peace, development, and taking the modern younger generation of both the countries on the path of peace and progression.
Coming back to the map episode, couldn't be that episode be resolved through diplomacy and dialogue? Why things like this cannot happen? Why can't we talk?
There is no controversy. This is only...
There is a burning controversy here in Nepal.
You see, there might be. There is no controversy back home in India. We have only depicted the historical facets. But if your neighboring
nation has a lot of question, don't you think as a big democratic nation, you have the responsibility to answer all those issues and concerns?
Well, I, as a responsible senior leader and a Karyakarta and a Swamsevak of the ruling party of India, is stating clearly on this television show that there are various respectable school of thoughts in India. One which certainly advocates India in the previous past, based on the historical facts, was a Akhand Bharat, which today has been cut into several pieces. One Afghanistan, another Myanmar, another Cambodia, one going to Thailand, one is Nepal and Sri Lanka. But there is another school of thought which says we have to accept those facts, where today we have to respect the sovereign integrity of each and every nation, whether it is in our neighborhood, and we should not dwell on the past supremacy.
Absolutely, Dr. Jolie. We need to acknowledge the fact that there are various unresolved issues in border. There are disputes in borders. There are disputes and misunderstanding in so many treaties. EPZ, eminent prominent group, was formed to resolve all these issues, but India does not want to talk about EPZ. Why is India reluctant to own the proposal of EPZ?
Well, you see, I would take this whole issue in the larger context. Your Prime Minister visits India, signs historic accords with the government of India, and I have got a big list. India, Nepal signed deals in energy, trade, tourism, in the fiscal sector. There's an inauguration of Siliguri Thapa petroleum pipeline. There's a starting of the petroleum pipeline from Motihari, Amilganj to Chitwan. There is a Sonali Bhairwa integrated checkpost foundation laid down. There's a Nepalganj Rupadia integrated checkpost inaugurated. There's a Bathana Biratnagar cargo train linking 17.4 kilometers which has been inaugurated during the visit of your Prime Minister. There's a double circuit transmission line of 400 kVA between Gorakhpur and New Bhutwal. There's a new air entry route from Mahendranagar. There's a digital payment accord and deal signed through QR code, which will certainly empower the citizens of Nepal in remitting the payments back home. There's a long-term power agreement to buy Nepal's excess power. 10,000 megawatt of power India will buy over the next 10 years from Nepal. There's a lower Arjun power project. So many things are there.
I understand all these figures, Dr. Jolie.
These are not figures. These are the real facets which are in the pipeline to increase the development concept between India and Nepal. You only find fault in picture, you find fault in a mural, it is up to you.
The bitter fact here is, Dr. Jolie, I've been hearing about Pancheshwar since 2.5 decades. So DPR is not yet conducted. I'm talking about the Pancheshwar, the bigger project. So there are so many business proposals, ideas that has been in the surface, but is not yet materialized, those things. So how, here as a Nepali citizen and also as a journalist, what I'm seeing is, yes, this is the age of business. We need to do bilateral business activities with our neighboring country, India. No doubt in this. India is the biggest economy. We can always reap better things from India. No doubt in this. But don't you think if there is a bitterness in your heart, you cannot proceed ahead in the business arena as well? You need to resolve the issues.
You see, if you say there is bitterness in the heart of Indians, you're totally misguided. There is love and affection which flows from each and every Indian heart for my each and every Nepali citizen. And this is the reason why over successive regimes in Nepal, you elect a government for 5 years, that government gets down within 2 years, you have your internal disputes, you have your internal fights, you have your change of guard every 2 years, who are unable to articulate the demands, the right and the legitimate demands which have been agreed in the previous past between the respective governments of the day to be implemented. So please look within your system, whereby why if there are delays, why the delays are. India, if it has come forward after Prime Minister Modi's 4 or 5 visits to Nepal, it wants to empower Nepal. It wants to see Nepal developing. But if you find faults here on a mural, why that mural is there? That is a sovereign right of the Indian Parliament to put any mural on their own walls. And they are not claiming the past to be replicated in the present. They are only saying this is the rich cultural heritage which we started off, and today we respect the sovereign integrity of India as well as our immediate neighboring states.
Also, partially I agree with you that there are disputes among our political parties. There is a political instability every now and then, I understand this, but there is a common strong consensus in our parliament regarding Kalapani and Limpiadura. So
well,
they have issued a map with a very, very strong consensus, including Kalapani and Limpiadura. How about handovering these two territory to Nepal?
On that particular issue, pandering to the political compulsions of the day of the party which was in power in Nepal, raising and whipping up the passionate son of the soil sentiments without consulting India and its own polity, which has been safeguarding Nepal from across the borders since 1950s onward. Overnight you say this whole area is yours. This is a subject matter of consultation.
What about Nepali soldiers fighting in your battleground since a long time?
We honor them. We love Gurkhas.
It's a mutual
Gurkhas
thing.
are a part of
Nepali
India's
have been doing
system.
This since such a long time. They are protecting.
We have never questioned that why Gorkha regiment is there. They are the pride of India. Their fighting skills, their prowess is world proved. So raising questions about their ability, no Indian political party or the government in India has ever raised any objections to that. So I can only say, if there are disputes, if there are areas of differences, the need of the hour is for two friends to sit across, talk it over, and go forward.
Dr. Jolie, I would like to draw your attention to the recent visit of Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda. A lot have been talked about that visit, especially is puja in Ujjain, the Mahakaleshwar puja. And we've been seeing various key leaders in India, including Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, engaging with former King Gyanendra, who a section of Nepalese population wants to reinstate. How do you like to respond to this? Do BJP want to reinstate monarchy here in Nepal by Pushpakamal Dahal?
You see, I have, and I wish to state very clearly, India believes in democracy. India has always stood with the democratic struggle in Nepal. And when all the political leaders of Nepal were imprisoned by the monarchy many years ago, I had visited Nepal in those troubled times. I do not know whether you were on this TV channel or not, but I, as the then BJP overseas chief, had clearly stated, Bharatiya Janata Party stands with the political struggle and the political parties of Nepal. And it is for the people of Nepal to decide what form of government you want, whether you want the king or whether you want an elected prime minister. Who is India? But if someone comes over to India, wants to talk to us, wants to pay a courtesy call, we do not refuse them a personal visit or a personal audience. So in that context, if the Honorable former Royal King of Nepal has visited India and met my great leaders, where is the objection? We have not stated
that...
I'm
not objecting the meeting, I'm just asking you a simple question. Where do you see our former King Gyanendra's space in Nepali politics? Do you feel he is underrepresented in the political arena?
You see, I have again stated and I wish to reiterate, we are no one to decide what is his political space in Nepal. It is for the polity of Nepal.
But
it is for the
people are
people of Nepal.
speculating that BJP wants to reinstate monarchy in Nepal.
I do not agree with this allegation. This is totally untrue. BJP stands for democracy. BJP stands for the democratic system of Nepal, not only in Nepal but worldwide. And this is what my Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, on his various visits to various parts of the globe, has always reiterated. So these allegations against the BJP are unfounded, are mischievous, and I totally rubbish them from the intent with which they have been hurled against me and my party.
Dr. Joly, the geopolitical scenario here in Nepal are changing. We're not the same nation that used to be 100 years ago. The geopolitical scene are changing. What do you see as emerging areas of contention and concern in the relationship between both the neighbors?
You see, contentions, consensus, issues, dialogue, engaging, talking, walking is a regular process. But the basic issues which both the nations have to see and tackle and challenge is how Nepal in this part of the world gets emboldened educationally, employment-wise, developed, so that the youngsters of Nepal have not to go in quest of employment to the Western nations. I have been told in the upper regions, the young boys and girls have gone overseas and the elders are left back home. The need of the hour is Samagra Nepal, Sushakt Nepal, developed Nepal, progressive Nepal, not that Nepal which is you get the young boys and the people of Nepal on the streets protesting. On one side, India comes with the magnanimous hands of assistance to Nepal. On the other side, my Prime Minister's effigies are burnt on the streets of Nepal, which really pinches me, which really pains me. If we understand your pain, you also have to understand what we feel about it. So this whole development, hand in hand, friendship has to go from both sides of the fence.
Absolutely, I second your thought, Dr. Joly. Despite the differences and challenges between both the nations, Nepal and India, India's ties are a mix of a slow decision-making process. A lot of people also argue that India is treating Nepal more as a geopolitically strategic base rather than a mutually strengthening neighbor, and the relationship continues to be on an autopilot of dichotomy. How do you see the relationship between both the nations getting sorted out over a period of time? How do we need to tackle this thing?
You see, promoting people-to-people dialogue. And very often I hear, हम दोनों देशों के बीच में रोटी बेटी का संबंध है. And when roti beti ka sambandh comes to the fore, small issues need to be talked over. Get whatever you could from a magnanimous Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the development of Nepal. Who's stopping you? The commitments which Government of India would have made during the past 25 years, get them on the table, discuss them, get liberal grants.
But it's a two-way thing.
Certainly. On one way, you expect us to be magnanimous. On another way, you pinch us from the back. You burn the effigies of my leaders. We feel pained. And that process slows the confidence building between the two nations. The need of the hour is, jo kehte ho, usko pura bhi karo. Your words should be matched by your actions. This might be a bitter piece of advice to my Nepali political friends, but the need of the hour is stability in Nepal. Nepal citizens elect governments for 5 years. But 2 years down the line, due to their internal contradictions,
but here, a lot of people blame India for our instability.
If
India is too keen in playing between the political parties and its leader, a lot of time we hear this.
Well, if you would have asked this question to my Chinese counterpart, the Chinese ambassador playing a pivotal role interacting within the various political parties, which form of government should be here in Nepal or not. I think I have answered your question in the right
They've just started
earnest.
recently.
It is not India. It is not the Indian ambassador or the Indian embassy.
A lot of people believe that they've learned from India. They were very passive since a long time, but they are being very, very aggressive
Well, that answers your question.
lately.
It is not the Indian ambassador, it is not the Indian embassy, it is not the Indian government which has intermingled or intervened in the internal politics of Nepal. And it is for the Nepali political parties have to decide whether they have to take our suggestions, whether they have to come all the way, talk to us, engage with us, know what we can offer for the development of Nepal. This is for them to decide.
Yeah, absolutely. Giving suggestion is understood, but dictating government and their leaders and their political parties is not acceptable. Dr. Joly.
This allegation does not have any facet and valid reason. India has always firmly believed Nepal as a sovereign state, Nepal as an equal nation in a neighborhood, Nepal in quest of development, which India needs to substantiate and support.
I condemn this because we've seen India's several important envoy moving from one political party's resident to others resident without following a protocol and without any information, without giving any information to our foreign ministry.
Well, you see, when we come over, I have come here on a personal visit, but certainly my interest is to meet the important political players in Nepal, know their mindset, what all is happening within the polity, within the nation, within the citizenship, and within the government, and outside the government, what is happening, what is wrong in that.
But that should be in a transparent way,
and this
following the protocol.
And this also works vice versa when the Nepali leaders come to India.
Absolutely,
they also meet us.
Absolutely.
Without consulting, you see, when it comes to people promotion of friendship and understanding, then the protocols are not there. The protocols are only there when you are a government official, when you are a secretary to the government, whether you are a minister or a prime minister. Then you talk about the protocols.
I am talking about the government official. They come here and make a visit to several political parties, their residents, without any information to our foreign ministry and all. They even don't follow the protocol. They have meetings, late night meetings, and the meetings are very, they are not transparent. That's what we've been seeing since long time.
I think all the political parties and the leaders of Nepal are experienced. They are foolproof. They would not come under any pressures. Like we would not come under any pressure from any part of the globe. We take our own decisions, exclusive decisions, based what is good for India. And I'm sure the government of Nepal, the political parties of Nepal will always decide what is in the best interest of its own citizen. Whether they get midnight meetings from visiting Indian leaders or whether they don't get. I think they are too mature to take their own decisions. I don't buy this theory that they would feel influenced or pressured by such individual visits of Indian political leaders or social leaders to your part of the world.
Okay, Dr. Joly, we've almost come to an end of our session. I would like to wrap up here, but before wrapping up, I see a BJP logo in your waistcoat. At the election near?
Well, you see, Dr. Vijay Joly has visited 90 countries of the world. And when BJP was born in 1980, I was the president of the Delhi University Students' Union. And then the mighty leader, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, had given me 5 minutes to speak to an audience of 100,000, 8 lakh logon ko. My heart, my soul is in the BJP, and this is the reason why I always support the BJP logo, which is the lotus. Every time, whether there is election or whether there is no election, this is my identity, and I salute my identity.
Thank you, Dr. Joly. It's wonderful having you here. It's great talking to you. I wish you a very pleasant stay in Nepal.
Thank you. Whenever I come to Nepal, the first thing what I do is I take the Mati of Nepal and I put on my forehead because I think I have a platonic relationship with Nepal and the Nepalis. I love Nepal. I love Nepalis. I salute Nepal. And I can only say we are Jai Nepal, Jai Bharat.
That's a wonderful gesture. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
उहाँ हुनुहुन्थ्यो भाजपाका वरिष्ठ नेता डाक्टर विजय जोली जो भाजपा विदेश सेलका पूर्व संयोजक पनि हुनुहुन्छ। आज हामीले उहाँसँग नेपाल भारत सम्बन्धका विभिन्न आयामबारे कुराकानी गर्यौं। अर्को हप्ता अर्को विषयका साथ उपस्थित हुने नै छौं। तबसम्मका लागि बिदा दिनुहोस्। नमस्कार।